Hello there, and welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Ungainly Titan. In this episode I'm going to be talking about my search for that third mark of excellence in the M18 Hellcat. I've been pretty busy playing this, along with playing some Russian tanks of course for the Fatherland operation. But I will talk about that in a separate video. The quest for the third mark of excellence continues to be a question of progress and losing that progress and then trying to make up for that progress again subsequently. The last time I had a video on this subject, I had reached a damage standing of 90.09%, and of course subsequently I lost that progress again. I then subsequently made up to about 91% and the usual back and forth, so it's been very stressful. You really do feel the pressure because one bad game can set you back by a considerable amount, and some cases the worst games are ones where your team are actually highly successful and you are trying to compete with your teammates to do the most damage, especially if you kind of pick the wrong area of the battlefield and you're set up for an enemy breakthrough and then your team actually completely overwhelms them on all sectors. It's certainly been one of the most stressful exercises that I've ever undertaken, probably because at third mark of excellence at 95% damage standing is probably a little bit outside my comfort zone. It's outside my normal capabilities and I have to actually play exceptionally well by my standards to get there. Showing here a selection of in-game results to demonstrate the point, I've managed here to pull the damage standing up to 93.37, then incremented it up in a subsequent game to 93.83, and then in, I think, pretty much a couple of disastrous games, bring it all the way down to 92.73. However, I didn't give up hope. I calmed myself down and I persisted. And first, shall we say, a bit of relief occurs here in Lakeville. Now, this particular occasion, I decided not to take the strategy of going down the lakeside road. There's a considerable amount of risk associated with that strategy. Basically, if somebody else comes down the road against you, you'll get spotted. And a tank like a Hellcat is not necessarily going to come off best in such an encounter. So instead, what I've decided to do is park here behind the bushes at the edge of this house where I have some cover from the house and rely on my stealth to look down the road. I'm theory my view range extends out to the edge of the lake side, but obviously quite stealthy tanks on the lake side would defeat my view range. So our first customer has arrived, the Panzer III-4, and we'll put some shots into him while he's available. Somebody's tracked him, and we're going to take advantage of that and finish him off. And then there's a VK-3001H who has come too far and has regretted his decision and is backing up as quickly as he can. However, he gets into cover before we can do too much damage to him. Now our team have pushed into the town pretty strongly and they're in a fairly advanced position. And there doesn't seem to be too many enemies, so I reckon it's worth going forward. The risk isn't huge, and if the people in the town pick up a lot more tanks, then I can basically get out of here. And my risk taking is rewarded because we spot two tanks immediately. The VK that was saw earlier on, and there's a Valentine stuck down on a little shelf there off the edge of the road. So we take out the VK first because he can escape. But that Valentine's going nowhere. He's pretty much stuck there.
I see one of them.
He might, in theory, be able to drive out of it, but I'm not sure if a Valentine can. It's a very awkward position if you drive into it. So Skoda's poked out from the edge of the base there, but he has decided not to continue that movement. And the team are pushing through the town quite strongly, and there seems to be only two tanks visible at the other side of the town. And somebody's just appeared in front of me at the other side of the buildings. So I peek around the corner and there's a KV-2. He's looking this way, but he didn't see me. My sixth sense hadn't gone off. So I'm able to put around into him without being, before I was detected. But once I was detected, I wasn't going to hang around in front of the gun of a KV-2. That would be pushing my luck a lot. Now a tank has rushed to the enemy base and he's lit up a Nashorn who is tracking the tank that's coming into the base, and I finish him off. At this point I have 9 damaging ribbons, so I can afford to take risks. With 9 damaging ribbons I can be reasonably confident that I actually won't lose any damage standing if I get killed subsequently. So I'm going to come around behind that VK that's there at the other side of the hill here and see if I can get some extra damage into him, because the odds are that he's looking towards the town and engaged in the firefight at the edge of the town rather than paying any attention to what I'm doing. So I come around the corner and sure enough, yeah, he's facing the other way. So I fire a little too early and I bounce a shot off the back of the tank there, and I put the other one into his rear of his turret. And at this point he's decided to pay attention to what's behind him, and turret rotation is quite slow on that tank, so I managed to get a second round in. And I think he's annoyed with me, so because he's turning, so I should be able to get another shot in as he comes around the rocks. And I'll pull back before he can get a decent shot on me. So I just need to get my gun down now for when he comes around again. And I finish him off, and I didn't actually take any damage in that encounter. We are running out of targets though, and what's left seems to be in the base. Now, I'm not going to catch up with him, but there's a Skoda barely visible, so I managed to get a tracking shot on him. But it doesn't do me any good because nobody shoots him while he was tracked. And I just fire again on the off chance that I might get a hit, and I managed to get another tracking shot, and while I'm waiting for the reload somebody finishes them off, but I get the assist damage. So I finish up with 12 damaging ribbons and 5 assisted ribbons. So 12 ribbons is pretty good damage. So that should see me a long way back up into the damage standing. So I get a high caliber, first class mastery. 2,500 damage and 692 assisted damage. And this takes me up to 92.23% of players. So immediately after that I had a game here on Dulcapas. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, I presume it's Czech. However, they should come with a pronunciation guide or a little voice thing that would tell you how to pronounce all these foreign names that we are not familiar with in the English speaking world. However, Dulcapas, I have a strong feeling this is actually my first game on Dulcapas, that I had never played this map prior to this. I do remember some speculation in the forums that it was kind of a myth, that it didn't really exist. However, there's a lot of maps out now, and a map turning up in the random rotation is not necessarily going to turn up very frequently. Quite a lot of maps can disappear for very long periods of time. Now I've had Dulcapas a few times since this game. I've had it in a few different varieties of tanks, and I've gotten to see a little bit of it. But I wouldn't presume to say that I know the map or would offer any major advice. I came up to this location because it seemed like a good spot that offered advantage over the centre of the map. It also offers escape routes. There are different ways that I can leave here in a hurry if I need to. My expectation was that, given the spawn point, that some enemy tanks would come over that ridgeline in front of me. Or if they didn't do that, they would come down this road or otherwise appear in this valley. So we seem to be, well, we have one tank that's pushed north, bulk of the allied forces behind me, and a few of them seem to be pushing east along that southern corridor. So I'm going to set up here and just to see what's to be seen, and an SU-100 has appeared there on the ridge in front of me.
Enemy in sight.
Bounce the first shot, and
Ready to fire.
somebody drove off the ridge line there, and
Ready to fire on target.
it seems to be the SU-100 and a light tank are basically cliff diving their way down into the valley. So he goes into the village here, and I managed to take away nearly all of his health, and in hindsight, watching the video, I should simply have waited for my gun to reload and fired again at that location. There's a good chance that I'd have got him.
That one went right through.
But a KV-1S has appeared there behind the buildings, and then he drives out into the open,
Locked and loaded.
where we get another hit into him and then he gets finished off. Some tanks as well have appeared down in the southwestern corner, and I managed to finish off that M5 Stewart. So I scan around again to see what other tanks are appearing around the area. Now we seem to have lost tanks to the south. I don't see anything going on the southern edge of the map at the moment, but I'm going to push forward even though I don't really know the terrain in front of me. But I do know there was tanks coming down this way that were receiving fire from allies. So I reckon I'll have support if nothing else. There's a Hellcat has popped up on the rise there. And he doesn't appear to be paying me any attention, and he's probably the one that spotted me. However, there is another tank. There's obviously the T-25 above, and he may or may not have been the one pointing the gun at me. The SU-100 is there in the houses that I didn't finish off earlier. He's on a sliver of health. If I can get a shot on him, I can take him out and maybe go through the village. However, he gets taken out by an ally, and I decide I'm going to push forward. And Ashorn is detected on the ridgeline there near where the Hellcat was. And when I get back down to the low ground, I'm no longer spotted. 6 Sense goes off. So I decided I'm going to go up and ambush the Nashorn because he's already engaged with the tank, so he's not likely to pay attention to what I'm doing. And sure enough, he wasn't paying attention. 6 Sense went off, so I'm going to go back down to the low ground where I know I was previously detected. And as I do so, I realise that there's quite a lot of tanks heading towards our base area. And precious few tanks down there to defend it. We've killed more tanks than the enemy, but all our tanks are out of position. So there's a good chance that they would get into the cap circle before we would make it to their cap circle. And their cap circle might still have defenders, in which case we would lose the game. Now I have 10 spotting ribbons and 7 damaging ribbons, so I feel that I can actually risk going back. I've done enough damage to hold my position on the damage standing, which is the kind of calculation you constantly make when you're hunting for an MOE. Basically, the loss on my machine right now won't adversely affect my damage standing, and I'll still like to win the game, so the first order of business is trying to save the artillery. Bounce a shot off the Leopard, which is a bit remarkable. But I failed to save the artillery because somebody, probably the T1 Heavy, takes him out. Now I get tracked by a Grant, so there's a Grant down there as well with the T1 Heavy. And some of the two of them damaged my gun, so I said I can do without gun damage at this point in the game. So I go one way to break the spot, and then I kind of circle around at greater range, so hopefully when I cross the open ground here they won't spot me. So that I can get shots basically onto the people in the cap circle without them seeing me, and preferably one at a time, so I don't have to expose myself to both the Grant and the T1 Heavy. So I'm hoping that I can poke the corner of this rock here and engage the enemies kind of one at a time. So nobody immediately in front of me, and I don't actually see anybody that I was particularly after. I don't have a clean shot of that SU-85. And the cap circle is progressing further than I'd like, so I can see the Grant through the bushes here, and we put a shot into him and that resets the cap counter. And then he vanishes from view. He's at the edge of my view range, obviously. I don't know if he's still in the cap circle or not, but there is definitely somebody in the cap circle, and I push forward a little bit, and there's the T1 Heavy. And he's in the cap circle, so I hit him and take down the cap counter, and the T1 Heavy decides to get back into cover because he probably can't see me. However, he shows me his side, and I finish him off. Now we're outnumbered slightly, but just by one tank, so I'm going to push forward and see if I can get eyes on that Grant. I have to be fairly cautious at this point, because if he's already lined up at me, then I would be in trouble. So a Kaiju turns up, and when I fire on the Kaiju I get spotted. And it turns out I get spotted by the Grand,
Loaded and ready.
who appears because he probably repositioned his tank in order to get a shot at me. Now I'm unspotted,
Unlocking target.
and I fire, and he actually manages to hit me, so he's pretty good reflexes on the part of the Grand driver. He immobilized me. The tracks took the shot, but he must have seen me the instant I fired.
The enemy knows our location.
So I'm detected and Sixth Sense has gone off, and that's probably the Kaiju. So as I said, I don't really want to face a Kaiju from this corner because he knows I'm here, and I don't really want to appear on either side of it. So I'm waiting for Sixth Sense to go, and then I'm getting out of here. I want to try and engage the Kaiju from a slightly different location. So I see the Kaiju again, and I put some foliage between myself and the Kaiju so that I can get a shot off him. However, I don't put enough foliage, and when I fire, I'm revealed to the Kaiju. So I didn't want to get a return shot on the Kaiju. But I'm taking fire from the Churchill, so I'm now trapped between the Churchill and the Kaiju. But the Churchill's a one-shot kill, so I managed to finish off the Churchill. And I kind of peek the corner and see if I can see anything.
Enemies are capturing our
Now,
base.
we're being capped again, and we're almost completed the cap at the other end. So there's a tank destroyer out there somewhere as well. So Sixth Sense has gone off. The Kaiju fired just as I pulled back, which is quite fortunate. And I bounced a shot off him. And his gun is pointing my way, so again, I don't want to
Reloaded.
engage. The cap circuit's got reset, but the enemy tank destroyer is dead. However, I need to reset the cap here, otherwise the Kaiju will win because he's ahead of our tank that's capping. So I'm going to relocate again, and I'm going to put some distance between myself and the Kaiju so that I can hopefully see him without him seeing me.
Ready to fire on target.
And he's a one-shot kill, so we get rid of him. And that's Top Gun.
Great job, man.
So that's 6 kills, 16 damaging ribbons and 10 assisted ribbons. So let's see how we did on the score. So that's 2,887 damage, 563 assists, which isn't huge, even though it's a lot of ribbons. But then we were top tier, so a lot of that was from low tier tanks. Nets is a high caliber, an ace tanker, and 2 marks of excellence, and we're at 93.37%, which up to that point I think was the highest that I'd reached. And we came first by experience, so that was a pretty good game. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you again soon.